mean, the primary thing, the number one thing, as far as I'm concerned, is to embrace or adopt a culture and a perspective of gratitude. Because it could be another way. I mean, you have your health now, for instance. You have your health. And how many people with their health are complaining about everything that's happening? And if they had their health broken, they would give anything to have their health back. You have that now. And gratitude in relationships, gratitude for your own journey, for you, to have gratitude that you went through those bad times, and maybe you're still going through the bad times, but to sit in gratitude is the answer, as far as I'm concerned, to be grateful, because it could be a different way. And gratitude that you're a student of life, that you want to learn, and that you of all people are listening to this podcast because you want to learn something. You're not just consuming the latest, superhero flick. You're listening to this. So you're trying to pack on something of understanding to yourself. So give yourself grace. Forgive yourself all your seeming mistakes, because nobody else is going to. Forgive yourself, and adopt an attitude and a reverence of gratitude. So I'm saying a lot in a little compacted space here, but I think gratitude attunes you to beauty. And I've said before that beauty to me is real. It isn't just subjective or objective or a quality that emits off an object because emotionally dopamine does. I don't think that. I think it's a real physical thing. I think it's a field that we haven't detected the beauty particle yet in the beauty field. So that's just my take, because we know when we're vibration, because everything's a vibration, right? Everything's a field, everything's a vibration and modulated waves. And so we know when we're feeling aligned with our morning, with our cup of coffee, with our beloved, with the sunset. We know, we can feel it, that there's an alignment there, and there's not a disalignment when music hits us in a certain way. And there's a harmonic structure to music that deeply goes into our psyche and makes us feel like it's going to be okay. So my whole thesis is head back to that alignment with this fundamental physics entity called beauty, which is an electromagnetic field or its own field, like gravity's its own field.
So do you have a gratitude practice, or is it a spontaneously occurring thing as you sit or read or as you walk about town? Yeah.
I'll show you. It's morning for me here in Romania, and ouch. Oh, I hurt myself. And this is my notebook. I've showed it to some guys before. This book was given to me 30 odd years ago. Look at that. Look, it's like saddle leather, It was given to me 30 odd years ago. And the man, Bill, who was a very dear friend of mine in his 90s when he gave it to me, had it for 30 years himself. So this book is at least 60, 65 years. And my practice of gratitude every morning, because I have to, otherwise I feel like, was it Rumi? I said that Rumi, the poet, that said, before you go to your work, take down your musical instrument off the wall and play it a bit. And if your day doesn't feel like the music you played that morning, then stop what you're doing, no matter what. If it doesn't have musicality in it. So I have to, because of the heaviness of this world and the decay and the trouble and the just the real feeling that there's a lot of heaviness in the world. I have to realign with that beauty particle, with that voice of God. And I do that by sitting with my notebook, and I've got one page in there that I've had the page is since January 2020. And if you remember, that's the day we first started our podcast, the first podcast we did. The pandemic was not yet heard of, and I was in Florence, Italy. We did our first call together of this new phase of podcasting, and January 2020, and that's the date I have on that page that I wrote. And I've been at that same page for 5 years. The same page, I look at it, and I've got 5, 6 items on that list, and and they're fleshed out, and they're little footnotes on it. And I just sit with each of those things on the list and I just contemplate it. I contemplate and contemplate and just say, okay, what if it was real that I had this thing on my list? And so I have a I have a little practice of gratitude, a morning reverie, if you want to call it that, a practice of gratitude and a practice of considering myself at this age, at this time in space time, and what am I made of? Do I want to be, George Bernard Shaw said, I can't remember the quote, but he said, do we want to be a force of nature or do we want to be a sniveling little complaining little shit? And I'm under no illusion that there's major sorrow in this world. There's major trouble and there's major setbacks that destroy our whole path forward that we thought we were going to do. I get that. So I'm not negating that or saying, oh, I'm not Pangloss and Voltaire's Candide, the best of all worlds. I realize that the world is full of sorrow and suffering and pain. And on top of that, we build art. That's the idea. I mean, like, we have setbacks and we have suffering, but on top of that, we build art or we die or we just wither underneath it. So it's a contemplative way of living a life. Aristotle said contemplation is the highest form of activity. So contemplation to me will save you. Gratitude will save you. But contemplating your existence and contemplating who am I as a man today and what do I want? And don't listen to society saying, oh, you as a man, you should be doing this. Don't listen to that. Follow your gut, follow your heart, follow the history of humanity, read the classics, steep into literature. Literature is my self-help. I don't read any self-help books at all. I don't have any self-help books at all, except for a couple written by friends and they're on my shelf. Like, we think, you talk to people today and they're laden with doom. The AI and politics and stuff, it's all going to destroy us. And they have no hope. They don't contemplate hope. But imagine World War II, some young family with little children and the danger that was around them. Surely they thought the world was ending. Like, this has got to be the end of civilization. This is destruction. And we get past it. We're not special. We can't afford a house. We're not special. There's been way worse things happen to your age group in the past. And civilization moved around it or resolved it or went through it. So yeah, you acknowledge that the world is waxing old like a garment, as the Bible says. You get that there's this feeling in the world and this frustration, but that's misalignment. And I think, and you're not the new age feeling like, oh, all this hunky dory and ignore all the troubles because they don't really exist, because it does exist. And sorrows do hit us. So you look at the whole spectrum, you stand back from yourself and from the world and from this moment in space time and your perspective, look at it. Okay, here I am in this universe and it's me pinpointed here, like pin the tail into the donkey. And that's me. What is the best musical way I can live a life? It's your choice. You can choose to be a sniveling little frustrated blaming victim, or you can say, no, the world has always been broken. There's never been happy childhoods in all of history. And yet those same children that were abused and abandoned and starved, they went on and created civilizations. They explored all the poles of the earth and all the, across the world, and they invented languages. So it's all excuses. And this modern age is because we're so coddled and we have so much abundance that, and the poorest person's got a fancy smartphone, that does everything for them. And all we do is complain and bitch about it. And it's because we're soft.